Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan, and with me, as always, is fantabulous chat moderator and producer DJ Martinez. The show has started before the show started. DJ and I were getting really silly in the comments already. It's going to be that kind of show, I think.
Yeah, Robert Wild said this has already gone off the rails and the stream hasn't even started yet.
This must be a record. Somebody asked if I was drunk before we were even broadcasting at least our faces. It's fantastic.
It's got to be a record. During the intro music, your soberness was questioned.
Yeah, that's a feather in my cap, I think. Yeah, I need to set my sights a little higher. I'm sorry, what was that about sobriety? What did you say?
I was just never mind. I think the word is sobriety. I said soberness. I was just correcting
sobriety.
Myself.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm not going to complain about your grammar and your syntax. I just misheard you. It'd be really nice.
It's okay. You're drunk.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, on water. All I got is water right now.
He's got a clear glass so you guys can see it. It could be vodka. We don't know.
This is just how I am. You know what I wish? I wish we could do this show in the same room.
Oh yes, it's all. I mean, we've done it twice in the history of the show, and it's been so fun.
Yeah,
and we always go for like 4 hours every time we do it.
Well, yeah, it's because we just appreciate too much that we can communicate with each other better. We want to keep going because we don't have as much like lag and overlap and misunderstanding of words and stuff. Like the remote thing works better than I think anybody thought it would when I was a kid. You know, that like the technology has gotten so good that like when I was a kid, video calls seemed like a thing of the future. It's just the world we live in now.
Yeah, you remember that Friends episode where Jon Favreau comes in and dates Monica and he's like this super, super rich dude.
He's got this 120-inch monitor that he's talking to people on in his bedroom.
And it's like he can do phone video calls, but it's like a huge screen that he has to use. Now we just have phones.
Yeah, now that's just the world we live in. Like, can you imagine? I can't, and this is not me dogging on people younger than me, but I really mean this. DJ, I have a hard time understanding the perspective or even imagining being able to put myself in the shoes of people for whom like a view screen on a Star Trek bridge is quaint. You know, like when I was a kid, that was futuristic technology.
Yeah, now anyone and their grandma can do it.
Yeah, and you could probably get a screen about that big. At least that's
kind of like the only reason for it is to talk to your grandma. It's like what else do you use FaceTime for? Just to talk to grandparents. That's the only thing we ever use it for in my house.
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of those technologies that we made a big deal out of when I was younger, that someday we'll be able to do this, it'll be at everybody's houses. Some of it's kind of impractical.
Yeah, like I don't want to. I just text you. I don't want to get on a video call. I mean, we do it all the time. Actually, we shouldn't even be saying that, because like when I talk to you or I talk to Connor, I usually do it on Skype. It's like this.
I think it's because we're used to talking to each other this way, though. But and I kind of get it if you're just gonna. By the way, hi everybody. Thanks a lot for being here.
I'm supposed to be doing a show.
Yeah. We'll get to the lead-in topic here in a little bit. We're gonna talk about skippable movies and TV shows in the MCU. So strap in. That's tonight's lead-in topic, and then we'll talk about anything else you guys want to talk about throughout the remainder of the show. We'll go a couple hours as we always do. But what were we talking about? I kind of get it when you're talking to somebody that you don't get to see all the time, or if this is the only relationship you have with a person. Like, you and I have a dictionary definition long-term relationship. Like long-term friend, like long distance is what I meant. Yeah, long distance, friendship. And when I was a kid, that was kind of a bigger deal and more difficult. And
we're pen pals. We're modern pen pals.
Yeah, not that it doesn't suck, especially like if you're dating somebody or something that's really far away. But it's easier to do than it ever used to be. You used to have to talk on the phone. You used to have to pay for long-distance phone calls. That's not really a thing anymore. You can even talk to people in other countries without having to pay an arm and a leg for it like you used to when I was a kid. And I'm saying when I was a kid too much, but it's true. And
uphill both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Get off my lawn. But the people that I sit down and do video calls with are people that I don't have a in-person relationship with.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, like I do the same thing when it's just because you get so used to it. It's weird talking to you or Connor on the phone and just hearing your voice and not looking at you in OBS. It's really weird.
But I've had other friends that I had mostly just a voice relationship with, like eons ago with Eric, that once I finally did start seeing their face, that was a really difficult dynamic to get used to.
You're like, ah!
Well, some people you'll know for a long time just in voice, and then or even you text most of the time, and then the voice doesn't match the face, and so you kind of gotta get used to that. Or you were imagining
like a radio personality.
Yeah, or you exactly, or you imagine like different facial expressions accompanying the voice. And then once you finally meet them, you have to kind of adjust to that. So that gets weird. But like you said, with FaceTime or whatever, I think it's weird to walk around in a grocery store and talk to a person in a phone looking at their face. I don't understand that. That just seems like a pointless novelty at that point. It's like, Grandma, what are you doing right now? Oh, you're baking a pie? Good. I didn't need to know that you were baking a pie. And when you're just voice, you can get away with doing, anything without people having to, know what you're doing while you're talking to them. You know what I mean? So you don't seem rude, Yeah. I don't mean anything lewd or weird. I just mean you don't seem rude,
You know what it does, though, is it kind of takes the stigma away from talking to your phone, so that I saw, there's this guy that I'm subscribed to, and he does fresh out of the theater. Like, as he's walking out of the theater, flips on his phone and reviews it as he walks out of the building and down the street.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, how the heck do you collect your thoughts that fast and speak so well? That's crazy. But I would be so embarrassed to be walking and talking to my phone in public. But I guess people are used to it these days because you're talking, like you said, on FaceTime and on the phone. I guess it's not as weird as it used to be. Plus, everyone just records himself.
And we just made an accidental GNN about long distance, relationships and talking to people through social media in 2023, but on devices in 2023. But the last point I'll make about that is perceptions of technology get really interesting in public, because it used to be if I went to a movie theater and brought a video camera and was filming, not in the theater, but even just outside, I could get kicked off the property because people would be worried that their children might be in the shot, or that you were filming in a location you're not supposed to. And everybody's got their phones out now. Nobody's paying attention to what app you're using. So it's a lot easier to film now in a public place.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Or inside a Toys R Us if we still had a Toys R Us.
Yeah, Or inside a movie theater when New Moon comes out and you're talking to people about vampires.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a throwback video.
It is. I can't
get
believe you
that
remember
reference.
that. But that's
You're
what
a
I was
real
thinking
genuine
about,
fan.
because I got kicked out with that too.
I know. I remember that. It's amazing.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us tonight. DJ and I don't talk enough off camera, clearly.
Yeah, that's the announcement. We're bringing back GNN. That's the other thing. We're starting over Superhero Rewind. We're bringing back.
Don't announce it. I have too much to announce already. Don't do that. I will talk a little bit about the Superhero Rewind relaunch here in just a little bit. Maybe we'll do the lead-in topic first, because people are going to be already sick of all of the preamble. As always, guys, we really appreciate you being here live, and thanks for watching this after the fact if you're doing that. If you are watching at this very moment, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount through the show, and that will guarantee that we talk about whatever topic that is on your mind, whatever you're interested in hearing us discuss, and we really, really appreciate anybody who has done or ever will do that. You guys are awesome. It really helps keep the train rolling here on Geekvolution. But if you don't want to do that, can't do that, you can leave a regular comment, and DJ will be monitoring that because that's his job, and make sure to tag at, the at symbol, DJ Martinez, or at long distance friendship. DJ will respond to any of those things and more. And now the news. Not really news. This is an article from a couple of days ago that was posted on Comic Book Resources, and I thought this would be an interesting thing to spearhead a discussion with. This is an article titled 10 Filler MCU Movies and TV Shows Fans Can Skip. It says the MCU is too big for fans to catch up with all of it. Some movies and shows can be skipped altogether for viewers who want the gist of things. So the idea here is this article is trying to pick things that if you just care about knowing what's happening for the quote-unquote overarching story of the MCU, the ostensible like ongoing story that of course never has any plot holes, and it was planned out perfectly well from the beginning, is never retconning itself, is a straightforward path from beginning to right now. These are things that you don't have to bother with watching if you don't want to. So the idea is supposed to be, it's not about quality. It's about, these are just kind of side story, standalone things. They might even be really good movies, but if you want to, be sure that you don't miss anything really important, these are the things that you don't have to look at. And so DJ and I are going to tell you if we buy into everything on this list, and I'm also going to talk about some oddness with this list, because I think there's a whole entry missing. Did you see this? Did you look at this?
I skimmed it a little bit just to get the. No, actually, I kept it. I actually didn't, because I wanted to react in the moment.
Sure. Well, I did go ahead and
started looking at it, and I was like, wait, no, I want to wait.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did that, because I did go ahead and read it down, so we'll have those two perspectives as well. But let's go ahead and see what has been put on this list by Siam Cheetah and I'm sure I mispronounced that first name, but that is the author here for CBR, and we begin with, okay.
Right away, break my heart.
Okay, so there's not, sorry, there's not an entry missing. The numbers got weird in just the writing of this article. So it's supposed to be 10, but it starts with 11, and then down at like 3 and 2, there's an entry missing, and then it just skips to 2. So I'm not sure how that happened, but there are 10 here. For a minute, I thought there were only 9 here, and they skipped one.
Weird.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Numbers are hard. It's a writer. They're not a mathematician. Give them a break.
It is possible it was written by an AI in this day and age, but I don't think it was. I think this is a real person. If you have any ideas yourself of things that should be on this list or things you really disagree with, please leave comments live, and we'll be taking a look at those as well. Let's go ahead and read this down. So, number 10, I'm not even going to say the numbers because the numbers are all jacked up, but the first one on the list is Incredible Hulk. It says, MCU's Hulk was strongest in his debut. So isn't that interesting, DJ? This person even agrees with us on this. that like the original Hulk was a better iteration ultimately than the one we ended up with. I mean, I like Ruffalo just fine in Avengers, but I think it all kind of goes downhill after the second one, after Age of Ultron. But I still wish we could have stuck with what's his name? Help me out.
Norton.
With
Edward
Norton. Yeah.
Yeah, this list is gonna be hard because it's like I don't care about, like, it's I can't get my mind in the headspace of this person. Like, what is this use case? Like, I want to pretend like I'm up on the MCU, but I don't care at all about watching good movies. I just want to, like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I love this movie. I think it's really, really fun, and it's a good time. But I guess, yeah, it doesn't. I mean,
I think it's a case study before it's anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's an
like
exercise before it's anything.
Essay question.
Yeah. Don't worry too much about whether this person even exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The person that is only interested in the overarching story, like watching it like a TV show. I don't know that exactly that person is even a person, but it is kind of interesting because of the way that the MCU is in and of itself a franchise and is also a mix of a bunch of franchises, right? Like, for me, the idea of skippable MCU movies or skippable movies in any franchise, I'll just say for me personally, I can't know that until I've seen the movie. And then after that, it's on rewatches. It's which ones do I go back to the most and which ones I don't. And some of that, I have to be honest, for me personally, would be quality first, but then importance of, like, how much it matters to the overarching, you know, ideas in the narrative, I guess. And I'm talking about with any franchise, not just the MCU. That is in there a little bit. I mean, if it sucks, I'm probably not going to go back to it. And if it's a really great side story, I don't care if it counts in the continuity. But if I'm going to sit down and watch, say, the X-Men movies, there's certain of them that I would probably feel the need to look at for the sake of connective tissue if I'm watching the overarching story of the X-Men movies, if that makes any sense. So, like, if I'm watching X1 and X2, even though I don't like X-Men 3 very much, am I skipping that movie when I go on to First Class? Or not even First Class, and also am I watching Origins? Probably not, because it's basically retcon out of continuity. But, no, I might still end up watching X-Men 3 just because it is going to inform stuff like Days of Future Past. You see what I'm saying? So, like, it does get kind of complicated.
Yeah. For me personally, I can't skip. I don't think I can skip any of the big three. Like, I think you at least have to have Cap, Hulk, and Iron Man.
Yes.
For me personally. I don't think Incredible Hulk is entirely skippable. I know people like to say that because it's a different actor and it's easier just to kind of forget about it. But first of all, I just like the movie. And second of all, I think you at least got to have that core team set up so you know a little bit about Hulk's history and with Ross and with Thunderbolt Ross and everything.
Yeah, this is a case with Incredible Hulk where I get why it's on the list, and it kind of feels like the article was probably written because this was the first one they thought of.
Yeah, well, and it is number 10, so it's not like the most skippable. So I understand, it's fine.
Yeah, like putting it at the very end like that. It's one of those things where I get why it's there, but I would try to avoid listing it if I could. And the biggest, I mean, you're right, just the individual movies that introduce these characters that will then become Avengers later. I mean, I don't think you really need to see Thor because of Hawkeye. You got to see Thor because of Thor. But, like, there are a couple of characters that are in Avengers that were set up in movies that are more skippable than other movies, if that makes any sense. Like, Iron Man 2, you need for the overarching character arc of Tony Stark, but it's not great, and you could kind of get away without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not with, like, the father-son stuff and all of that. It's complicated. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I messed up. I said big three. I meant big four. I meant Thor, Captain America, Hulk, and Iron Man. Those are the ones I meant. I left out Thor. Sorry
but the main reason that the main thing that would keep Incredible Hulk off this list in my head is a scene that was cut from that movie and should have been in that movie. If his attempted suicide is in the film, you cannot skip that movie. Because it's talked about in Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Well, I mean, the fact that it's talked about, I guess it's in there, but you know what I mean? Like, it used to be important. It used to be in that movie, and it sucks they took it out.
Yeah, I've always been on the fence about that because it's cool for the continuity. I don't know if it would have been good for the movie. I think it's weird because that was the opening scene of the movie, and I think it's might be a little weird to start the movie that way. I like how the movie starts with the opening credits and then immediately goes to Portugal, and he's just kind of having a quiet life. I think it would have been a weird. I understand why they cut that for the movie itself.
No, I don't disagree, but at the same time, especially sorry, we will try not to spend this much time on each of these.
Fun topic.
But especially given where we are now versus what the MCU was at the beginning, where it was a little bit more daring. Forgive my French, but it would have been really ballsy to open that movie that way. And I kind of wish they'd done it just in looking back and going, yeah, they used to do stuff like this. You know, they used to take those kinds of risks, and it wasn't just popcorn family fare.
Yeah, because that's a cool movie. It's not a superhero movie. It's a curse. It's like a horror. It's like a body horror movie. It's great.
Absolutely.
And like a.
Okay, let's blow through the rest of these, shall we? I'll finish reading this part just to see the reasoning, because I haven't even really read this. The story itself isn't anything notable. The Incredible Hulk shows Bruce Banner on the run from Thunderbolt Ross, who is targeting the Hulk. Although Ross, Blonsky, and Bruce reappear in later works, they're reintroduced with different characterizations, and that is true. That is a solid point. Any points in the Incredible Hulk that resurface later are also quickly explained. I agree with that too. Then we move on to Iron Man 3, and I gotta tell you, man, I don't think you can put...
This list is garbage!
I don't think you can put any of the Iron Man movies on this list.
No, Iron Man 3 is essential. It's also one of the better movies, but yeah, that's...
But again, we're not talking about quality. We're just talking about the gel, the glue that holds the overarching strands together. And we're not talking about one narrative is the thing. We're talking about a lot of character arcs. Like, Tony Stark doesn't have a character arc confined to a single movie. He has a character arc that is actually really trackable and pretty well written overall throughout the entire MCU from start to finish. It's the one thing in the whole MCU that actually feels, if not planned out, just natural. And yeah. I think from start to finish, maybe not everybody would agree with that, but from Iron Man to Endgame, I feel like that's a very trackable arc, and I don't think you want to lose any piece of it, even the stuff that's not as good. I would say still Iron Man 2 is more skippable than 3. He's got
epilogue to Avengers.
That's what I was going to say.
It's what they wanted Far From Home to be to Endgame.
The opening of that movie is all about how he has experienced space aliens, and the world is too large for him now, and he doesn't feel any sense of control. I don't see how you could even fully appreciate Age of Ultron without Iron Man 3. I think you got to have that. So I don't understand that. Let's look at the reason.
Yeah, otherwise he just like snaps for no reason in Ultron.
Yeah. No, I think it's preposterous. Again, even if you don't like that movie, it's not... I don't see how it's skippable in the grand scheme. More than anything else, the botched use of Iron Man's... Oh, see, you knew this was going to come up. Greatest comic book enemy makes up this entry's notoriety. Iron Man 3 swerves viewers by revealing that the Mandarin is just an actor posing as the villain. That is true. It's leaving this plot point open for... Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings to resolve. Okay. Iron Man 3 is... I'm not going to touch that.
They didn't know they were doing that way back then. What are you talking about?
No. Iron Man 3 is about Tony learning to live with PTSD over the Battle of New York. Yeah, it sure is. But he continues to carry these fears much later as well, which takes away all relevance from this film. I don't agree with that, because it's not like he doesn't change in the movie. It's a coping film.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a little weird that we don't talk about the ending at all, like, ever again. Except for he does give he gives the necklace to Pepper with the shard in it. But we never talk about the fact that he doesn't need the suit anymore after that film.
No, that's true, and that's weird. And I've never liked the way the surgery with the arc reactor is handled at the end of that movie. It feels really easy, but it's still a real clear part of that character arc where he gets to the end, and now he's coping with the fact that the world is, like I said, larger than he thought it was, and that he doesn't have that control. And then what does he do in the very next movie? He tries to control what he can control. I don't know. I think it's at least an important chapter. So I don't get that. This will drive you nuts. And again, try to put yourself in the shoes of the person writing this, and let's read the argument before we respond too much to it. But I don't agree with this at all. I think it's preposterous. Homecoming.
Oh, what is this list?
Spider-Man Homecoming is the first solo movie of the titular hero, but the character was introduced earlier in Civil War. This story is basically to show how his life functions, as his tussle with the Vulture isn't anything that affects the larger MCU. And I mean, that's true, but Spider-Man Homecoming doesn't have plot relevance like its sequels do. Even the characterizations of people like MJ are different in this movie compared to the next. I don't know what he's talking about there. It's an entertaining movie that has the Spider-Man spirit at heart, but viewers looking for material that ties into the overarching narrative don't need to watch it. Now, my main argument against this, I'm going to say nonsense. It has less to do with Spider-Man and more to do with Tony Stark. Again, this movie is still another piece of that puzzle. Even if you ignore Spider-Man entirely, now he's a mentor. And it's such a flip of Iron Man 1. I don't get skipping that. And then you've got all of his relationship stuff, or his friendship, again, his mentoring Peter Parker in the Avengers movies after that.
It's so strange.
It would be kind of weird to only have their meeting in Civil War, and then Tony Stark feels that bad about his death in Infinity War, like, right?
Yeah, it makes no sense. This is like everyone says, this is Iron Boy. This is the next legacy character to take over for Iron Man. I haven't seen the rest of the list, but like, are you dropping all that stuff? Like, what? How do you? That makes no sense.
No. It's preposterous. And then you're going to put that on the list, but not the other Spider-Man movies. So you're basically telling me to start with what is essentially a side story that doesn't move his characterization or story forward enough until the very end. So what you're basically saying is you have to watch Far From Home for an after credit scene, and that's it. And then couldn't I just as easily go? This is a dumb exercise. We should go through this faster. Because
we disagree with all of them so far.
Couldn't I just as easily? Yeah, like Incredible Hulk, I understand, but everything else after that so far I do not. Now there are other things on this list that I do agree with.
You've said they didn't put either of the other Spider-Man films on this list. The other two that are skippable.
No.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
Sense.
Well, see, again, you're saying No Way Home feels skippable because of the kind of movie that is, but just remember, superficially, but we're in the multiverse. See, I'm sure that's what they're thinking with that whole business. But look,
I haven't seen Doctor Strange, but I feel like it explains it well enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You don't need to see that.
You could just as easily, yeah, this is nonsense. You could just as easily say, well, the beginning of No Way Home recaps the end of Far From Home and says, hey, look, everybody knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man now. So why do you need that movie?
That's the only thing in that movie that's even kind of related to the rest of the universe.
Yeah. So I think that's way more skippable than this. I think you could watch... In fact, my wife has still not seen Far From Home or No Way Home. I'm thinking about doing an experiment, re-showing her Homecoming and then just showing her No Way Home and just see how lost she is.
She'll be fine.
Because she won't be.
So what we're learning from this list is this person is literally just talking about like plot events, timeline events, and they don't care about characterization or like character arcs or anything. Because everything we've said about the Iron Man stuff, they're probably just like, well, doesn't matter.
So I'm going to go to a writing 101 thing, and I'm going to act real condescending to everybody for a second. In case you're not aware, okay, story equals plot plus characterization. Yeah. No, some of that stuff you need. And I'm not being hoity-toity, like thematic arcs or the big grand ideas. I'm talking just who a character is being allowed to change and grow through movies. you could almost argue. Well, I was going to say you could almost argue that certain bits of Captain America's story are more skippable than Iron Man's because for a long time he refuses to change. But I mean that for plot and stuff, that's not true either. Like you certainly couldn't get rid of Winter Soldier. You certainly couldn't get rid of Civil War. But that starts really opening the curtain and being as much about the rest of the MCU as it is about Captain America.
Well, and I find that character arc, even though it's a refusal to change character arc over several movies, still very compelling to me.
Absolutely.
Personally. I actually prefer it.
Yeah. Watch him push against it, especially when he finally cracks.
Yeah.
You got to watch him keep pushing against it before that crack is. This person needs to go to school. Okay.
If
and by going to school,
there better not be any Captain America films on this list.
Yeah, I guess I just mean like, I don't know, what. Watch more movies that are character driven. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now I think it's bizarre to put a sequel to a movie on a list that's about to get a sequel, because I feel like I feel like you can't really know for sure until you get more of a franchise, knowing that more is going to come out, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, this is kind of a special case, though, because this sequel happens like 12 minutes after the first one, and then we've had like 10 years since 2 to 3, and they're in a very different place after Infinity War and Endgame and Love and Thunder and stuff.
That's a good point, but Peter Quill is certainly affected by the like dark, tragic father-son story that he had in 2, and you don't know how much that's gonna affect his character arc in the next movie. You don't know how much paralleling we're gonna do between his background and Rocket's background with the genetic engineering and all of that. Like,
yeah, of course. But I think this person is considering that. It's like, where are you starting out from? Are you saying with the bare essentials? I guess that's what this person's saying. And he's probably considering that stuff as like bonuses for people who watch everything. Like that's extra stuff you get from watching everything. For this person.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, let's get through this, shall we? Guardians 2 deals with the return of Star-Lord's father, Ego. The team learns of his evil plans to consume Star-Lord, ultimately slaying Ego before he can threaten the universe. The only notable event in the film is the demise of Star-Lord's adoptive father, Yondu. I feel like, how is that any more or less notable than you found your father and he tried to kill you and you ended up getting him killed? I don't understand.
Because that only affects his character moving forward. Nothing changed in
so like... Yondu's death is important because Yondu was a guy that we met in the first one?
Because you won't see him again, you know? You might be like, hey, where's that guy? Where's that blue guy?
I see.
It's literally things that you will miss.
Okay.
You gotta stop thinking about stupid characters.
This person got paid to write this. Yondu's death doesn't have any bearing on any movies in the grand scheme of the MCU. His death, as well as Ego's, is recapped by Star-Lord in Infinity War, which is sufficient for viewers. Guardians Volume 2's events are heavily altered by the following Avengers movies, making them relatively irrelevant by now. And then we have Black Widow, which I actually kind of agree with.
Oh yeah, because that can't add anything because it's a prequel, like it happens after.
Yeah, well, and it does add one major thing, which this mentions, of course, which is the introduction of Yelena. But I don't think you need to actually see her in the past in order to deal with her in other things. And I liked her quite a bit in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But spoilers, that doesn't even matter because Hawkeye is also on this list.
Oh, you can't put. Yeah, that's really weird. They should have left Phase 4 stuff off, or at least because she's gonna be a big character later. When she comes back, how are you gonna know who she is if you don't watch the show? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's strange. Timing of Black Widow's release was such that the movie was skippable as soon as it arrived. Okay. The timing being okay. I thought it meant the timing of COVID and when it came out, Anyway, it shows Romanoff on the run after Civil War, where she frees Black Widows under mind control. While the story puts her demons to rest, it's not important to other films. That's true. Black Widow is part of Phase 4, but it takes place at the beginning of 3. Because of this, the movie doesn't make for essential viewing. Yelena is introduced, although she doesn't have a starring role and will have a proper part to play in Thunderbolts. But, I mean, I would skip that before I'd skip Hawkeye, again, for her introduction for when you watch Thunderbolts, I guess. And then Hawkeye. Let's read this. Hawkeye is the smallest scale MCU Disney Plus series yet, focusing on the partnership between Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. They spend the Christmas season evading Kingpin's forces, yada yada. It's a fun side adventure, but it has side venture. Were they doing business? All right. But it has nothing of substance in terms of the MCU's plot. Hawkeye has guest appearances from Yelena and Kingpin, yet neither of their roles further their individual stories. Receive resolutions. Thanks for publishing the first draft. Clint begins and ends the story pretty much the same, only with more confidence. All in all, Hawkeye is designed to be a filler series that fans can watch for a breezy experience. Now, I will say, I buy this more than some other things on the list, but what's difficult about it is, if you skip that, in my mind, you end up probably disliking the Disney Plus series overall even more, because it's one of the only ones that start to finish was at least solid to me.
Yeah, and I don't know. They could be right. Like, if this character never comes back, if Haley Steinfeld never comes back, then yeah, it's skippable. But if she's like she's a big part in Phase 5 and the Avengers, then it's just weird to skip her whole intro.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's blow through these a little bit quicker. The next thing is Moon Knight, which is just dictionary definition correct, I think. Like dictionary definition skippable. For this reason, it says, while the series was well received, was it? I thought it was kind of mixed. It has little to no connections with other MCU works. The main characters are all exclusive to Moon Knight. They don't have crossovers with any films and shows. Moon Knight can be seen independently of the entire MCU, and fans will have no issues. Conversely, it's easily skippable since none of the events impact anything else in the series' story. And it is kind of a good point that that's one of the few things in the MCU that you could look at and not have any references to anything else. It's a lot like, I don't think it's as good as the best of these, but it's a lot like the Netflix Marvel shows in that way. I mean, those had like kind of the one big reference with the
incident
events of Avengers, yeah, with the incident, yeah. But I don't know, Moon Knight felt a lot like not just Netflix, but like some of the like network shows that were ostensibly MCU, but were never going to affect anything, like Cloak and Dagger and.
Yeah, I haven't started that. I've heard great and terrible, so I think it's a love it or hate it kind of show. I should probably try it, check it out, see if I like it.
I think it's just a mixed bag all around. I don't have that with it. I had a hard time getting into it. It took 2 episodes before, like, I kept falling asleep. Like, I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's massively padded, but I didn't hate it. I'm a little indifferent to it. And then this is probably also just true. This one I've not seen yet, but She-Hulk, just given the nature of that show, it says there's no story at all apart from Jennifer Walters' many failures in the legal scene being played for laughs. She eventually comes to accept being She-Hulk, yet never actually becomes a superhero. In fact, the story is so irrelevant to the show itself that Jennifer breaks the fourth wall and changes the ending on her own. There are guest appearances from MCU characters like Wong and Daredevil, but their stories are also filler material that doesn't come up in other shows and films.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched that, but I assume since it's like a sitcom, it's probably not too consequential.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of it. But I will say real quick, one thing.
And also, there's nothing wrong with having inconsequential shows.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
When you have something as massive as the MCU, you need breathers. You need different things because it gets old and like overwhelming. Like, you need a nice little homecoming movie. I don't like Ant-Man, but a lot of people like Ant-Man because it's different and something new. Eternals is different. Iron Man 3 was different. Like, you need those kind of things in this long going series. It can't all be the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to complain about word choice for a minute, because like, at the start, I appreciate that this writer said it's not necessarily a quality thing. Some of these things are good. They're just technically skippable for, again, the overarching narrative. But I don't like putting the word filler in your title, because filler kind of suggests junk, pointless. Like, there's a difference between standalone and filler. Even in comics, when you have a fill-in issue, we don't call it a filler issue. It's fill-in. It's somebody came in and told a standalone story. It might be brilliant. It might be a 22-page masterpiece, but it's fill in the sense that somebody else came in to do that story, and it doesn't have anything to do with whatever the longer, 6-8 issue arc is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So don't say filler. That's not what that means. And then this is true too, even though this is somewhat true. I'll say I'm 80% of the way there with this one. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I get why this is here, of course, but this suggests that there's not any developments of any kind at all with the Guardian story, and that's not true, because when you get to the end, you have, and I don't think you've seen this, DJ.
Yeah, I skipped it, so I guess I can't say anything. I have to agree with it.
my kids and I enjoyed that so much. I think I saw it like 8 times over Christmas.
Wow.
It was just a really good holiday special. Like we kept watching it at people's houses and stuff. We kept showing it to people. And
interesting.
When you get to the end of that, it does bring up, and this is a thing that Austin wanted the Guardians movies to do, and was kind of surprised they finally did it. And in this special, the idea that technically Peter and Mantis are brother and sister, and so they have a new dynamic because they've decided amongst each other that they are indeed brother and sister, that they're like almost blood family at this point, because technically their father was Ego for the both of them. So you're going to come into the next movie, they're going to have this different dynamic, and if you didn't see the holiday special, you might not know where that came from. But don't put that there until we've seen 3, because it might be true that you don't really need that, but I don't know, that movie's not out yet. Right? It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm probably going to skip 3 too, so I guess it's skippable for me.
I just think it's weird. Okay, so this is a strange choice, especially given the other things that aren't here. This is true, but I don't even know if it counts. I don't even know if it's canon. Their number 1 is Inhumans. Now, come on now. You know this with a technicality, almost as if you couldn't think of anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's... I mean, they've never come out and made like a statement, I guess, but they're also never going to reference it ever again.
So here's the thing.
Well, they kind of did.
It has technically been referenced because of Doctor Strange 2, because Black Bolt is from another universe, is there and played by the same actor, played by Anson Mount. And we did the same thing in Endgame with Jarvis from Agent Carter. So people have said since then, Agent Carter feels roped back in, maybe into the canon, but we've never been told for sure that it was. The official, unofficial statement after the Disney Plus shows started seemed to be nothing really counts except for now the Disney Plus shows with the movies. That you have all this kind of supplemental material that we're not really going to reference. They don't really count. And so, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sort of out of the canon now. The Netflix Marvel shows, it's hard to say if any of that really counts or not. So putting Inhumans in here, when there's such a huge question mark with that, when there's other things you could have chosen. So, DJ, I know you don't love this exercise, but if you had to pick other things besides what's on this list, and to especially fill in for things that you vehemently disagree with, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, it's weird that Eternals is not on here.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are saying in the chat.
Yeah.
Like, Eternals is more necessary than Hulk?
Yeah.
Iron Man 3? Spider-Man? Like, what?
And it didn't do real well, and even if it's referenced in other characters, or characters from that show up after it, there's no way they're going to make that essential viewing, because it didn't do as well as they expected it to at the box office.
Yeah,
and it sets up Blade and stuff, but who cares? Like,
Yeah, and I like that movie well enough, but like I would agree that it's like separate. It's one of those like side quest movies that I like that I don't think is definitely not necessary. And this person's not even thinking about the future stuff because they put Hawkeye and all these other things on here, like Moon Knight and
Yeah,
stuff
what
that
you're
might
basically
come
saying is it's not important right now.
back.
I feel like Captain
But
Marvel
Eternals
is
is?
more skippable than some of the stuff on this list, regardless of Skrulls.
Well, yeah, it depends. I guess so yeah, I don't know. I guess scrolls could just be green people. Oh yeah, how is Ant-Man and the Wasp not on this list?
Yeah. How is Dark World not on this list? And over any other Phase 4 thing, you didn't put Love and Thunder? Why is Love and Thunder necessary? I get Ragnarok to some degree because of some characters that were introduced that show up in later Avengers movies and stuff. Even though I don't like that movie, I get that. Love and Thunder? Again, maybe down the road that will matter more, but it doesn't look like Hemsworth even wants to come back right now, so I don't know. Anyway.
Even Ragnarok, like what does it matter? Oh, Thor had an adventure and he met two people and now they're fighting with us. Like what? Who cares? It doesn't like it.
Well,
Everything in Ragnarok is immediately a retcon because we fix his eye and we get him a new hammer. Like nothing sticks from that movie.
The one thing that sticks from it is the destruction of Asgard and the fact that Asgard is on Earth now. So to be fair,
a ship in Infinity War starts with that same message that Asgard's been destroyed and they're on the ship.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Okay, all right, I'll retract that argument. No, you're right. Hey, I was trying to throw Ragnarok a bone here. Okay.
No, you're missing it. You're mistaken. We're always throwing Ragnarok under the bus.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay.
That's the deal.
Easy low-hanging fruit. You didn't say what if?
Yeah. I'm assuming they just said that's not part technically of continuity. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know. I don't know what this list. Don't ask me. This list makes no sense.
Okay, we've given this too much credence and we've taken too long on this. Let's go ahead and start taking questions and go to the proverbial phones. And then in about 15 minutes or so, we'll go ahead and take a break and then come back for the second half. What do you see, DJ, about this or anything else folks want to chat about tonight?
All right, let me see. I'll see if there's any about this. I don't think there are any specifically about this. Senior Sticks just put one in and said, people always forget the importance of the gifted.
Of the gifted? The gifted's not even in this continuity. That's a Fox X-Men thing.
I don't know if he's... I read that because...
If that's what he means.
And I thought that's what he meant, but I don't... Maybe he just means the gifted in general? Is he quoting something? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $2, Senior Sticks.
No, I appreciate you, Senior Sticks, but I don't know, uppercasing proper names would help. If
Maybe,
indeed that's what you're talking about.
Maybe he'll elaborate later on. Senior Sticks also put one earlier saying, is Venom of the Sonyverse part of MCU continuity?
Yeah, so I don't want to get into the rabbit hole of all of this. Anything that Disney and Sony, with the partnership they have right now, have the rights to, they can make part of quote-unquote canon through the multiverse in exactly the same way as the CW did with TV shows and movies that had been made prior to the Arrowverse, and just say it's all one big happy multiverse. And when we don't like replace good storytelling with the gimmick, I'm actually okay with some of that if we just did cool things with some of those characters. But yes, so technically Venom is in that continuity only in that they can cross and talk to each other if they want to. But I think of it as the same thing as like intercompany comic crossovers, right? So Venom is in the MCU in exactly the same way as, say, like Spider-Man and Batman, because of amalgam, are in the DC and the Marvel universe. Like, it's the same thing. So, like, they're not really, but a couple companies got together and said, hey, let's let them cross.
Yeah, if Venom does count, it's the most skippable thing ever because he literally does nothing in No Way Home but drink a beer at a bar, and the whole movie itself is already skippable, as we already talked about. But
yeah. So yeah, I don't think you can consider just anything that can cross with those as MCU.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. Senior Sticks argues that Gifted is MCU.
Oh.
But it wasn't even produced by Marvel Studios.
Yeah,
right?
I don't understand that. I'm not sure how. Any more than anything else that can touch that stuff. I don't want to get stuck in a rut with this. But I don't see how it was at the point retroactively, whatever. I hate these arguments of this thing is technically the first thing that was ever in the MCU because it can cross. You know what I mean? Like X-Men from 2000 was the first movie in the MCU or whatever it is people are claiming. Just because like we've touched the X-Men franchise at this point, or we're going to with Deadpool 3. Technically, we haven't even with Patrick Stewart yet because that was a Professor X from a different universe played by the same actor. Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
We got one more about this topic from Brandon Martin back when we were talking about Iron Man 3. $5. Iron Man 3 is about PTSD until the action scenes start and the movie forgets about it. I don't know if I agree with that. Also, why did he wait 5 years to get life-saving surgery?
Yeah, that's the part of it I never really understood. Because it kind of watched like, oh, I figured it out now off camera.
Oh, I never had that because he needed Extremis to do it. I mean, it's a regenerating science. He has a giant gaping hole in his chest. Like, he says, I straightened Pepper out, and then I took it one step further and worked on myself. Like, I thought it was pretty clear that it was using Extremis.
Yeah, now that you say that, it's coming back to me a little bit because I always had that complaint, and then somebody explained that to me at one point, and I realized that was maybe what the movie was doing. I don't know. It's been a while since
I thought about that. It could be, they could have...
It shouldn't be a single line of dialogue,
because it's a big thing. It should have been probably a bigger scene than like just the recap at the end of the movie. So I understand that.
Yeah,
because they do brush over it pretty quickly for being such a big.
No, I forgot it was supposed to be Extremis. I did not get that on a first or even a fourth viewing.
That's totally fine. What else do we have here? Goofster123 to go in a different direction. $5. Having watched John Wick 4. The director Chad Stahelski should make Hasbro's Power Rangers reboot and bring in Donnie Yen for fun too.
It would be really neat to see that. I would love a Power Rangers movie that was, what do you call it, a martial arts film. That'd be wonderful. I've not seen John Wick 4 yet. Is this a different director than from the last one? I haven't even looked into that. I don't know. I don't remember who directed 3 versus this one. I am going to see it this weekend. I was out of town last week, so I wasn't able to go. So a quick plug for stuff happening this weekend. Connor and I are going to do a double feature review again on Sunday, later afternoon this time, maybe even early evening. I'll give you a time when we get closer, and we're going to talk about Shazam 2, which, by the way, not one person has asked where my review is for that. DJ, so that's interesting. It's been out 2 weeks already. Nobody has asked about it. Like nobody's requested it, but we are going to do it.
2 weeks, and everyone who's going to see it has seen it.
That's right. That's right.
It is not doing well.
We probably won't. We probably won't even have a non-spoiler section at the beginning. We'll probably just spoiler cast it from moment one. But we're gonna do Shazam 2, and we're gonna do John Wick 4 in the same day, and then the same video. And then my plan right now is to do another double feature review the week after that. And DJ, this one's gonna be really fun because it's just hilarious the way these movies lined up. We're gonna do get this is so specific. We're gonna do a double feature on brand new biopics about inventors of technology in the 80s. Because
Air and Tetris
in the same video.
And single word titles.
Yeah. We're very excited about it.
That's a pretty good double feature.
Yeah, and I didn't expect to get to talk about like Ben Affleck directing at the same time as what's his name? Edgerton in the Tetris movie. It's gonna be great.
I really hope Air does something to make me like that title, because I think that is a terrible title, but hopefully it's thematic and it works once you've seen the movie.
I know I go to this too much and I'm a broken record. You know what that sounds like, right?
What?
It sounds like the Michael Jordan CW series.
I thought you were going to say it sounds like the Hawkman CW series.
Yeah, that too. But no,
Yeah.
it's Air because we're not going to say Jordan, so you have to fill in the rest of it. That's a very CW thing to do. You know, like Arrow didn't have green in it. You know, it's Air.
It's just Air.
Hey, we got 5 minutes before the break. Let's do one or two more real quick.
So I looked up real quick, and Chad Stahelski has directed all 4 John Wick.
See, I thought they were all directed by the same guy, but you made me second guess myself for a second there. I never had the thought that he should do Power Rangers. There's no way that's high profile enough for that director at this point. But
be an interesting choice.
Yeah, absolutely. He's too qualified to do Power Rangers, but I would love it. I would love it.
And we got 2 more super chats here. Josh, this one's just kind of a joke, I think, unless he's actually having a mental breakdown. Josh Galisano, $5. What if we skipped existence?
Yeah.
Fast forward to the end. What does nothing look like? Hopefully it looks like everything.
No, I think that's Josh irritated with that whole exercise with that article. Absolutely. So you can make an argument that nothing matters. I'm sorry for wasting everybody's time, by the way. We're really at waste your time Volution again. I did a whole hour and a half rewind unscripted like this, where I was like, here's this article that somebody wrote about superhero movies for children that's whacked out and stupid, and I'm gonna spend all this time complaining about how dumb this article is. Could not help it. Had to call it out. Thought it was really important.
It was a good conversation. It would be a good video for us to do, like come up with the top 10. I think that'd be fun.
For what, children's movies or?
No, I was saying this article tonight was fun just talking about it, even though I disagreed with the list so much. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
Fun for us. Because a little ways back, Connor said, all right, Cap and DJ, what would your top 10 skippable MCU projects be? So.
Well, we threw out like, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah. I think it was a good conversation. The only super chat I have left, well, one just popped in, but the first one I got was from TEdge1, $2. Thoughts on the potential TikTok ban? Hashtag save TikTok, he writes. I don't think hashtags do anything in the super chats, but we appreciate the sentiment.
I have heard that there's been a lot of discussion about banning TikTok. I don't want to get into the politics of that, partly because it's not a political show, and partly because I don't know enough to weigh in on this. I have heard that has more to do with like Chinese ownership of the platform than anything. So I don't feel like I know enough to comment on it. I will say that just for my own personal day-to-day, it has no effect on me whatsoever. I don't care about that platform. I've never really wanted to use that platform. I know DJ uses it a little bit, so I'm sure you care more about this than I do, just on a selfish level, I guess, maybe. But
no, I've been posting some stuff on there. Films by Color. Follow me on TikTok. And it's been fun. I'm about up to 500 followers on there. But no, I find it a really good platform. It's people talking more, which I don't get on YouTube anymore. I just get stupid videos on YouTube. I think it's much more helpful. And if you do want to see some hilarious, if you want to get some laughs, watch the court case of that, because it's a bunch of old people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, really?
Trying to understand. They're like, so will TikTok access my home Wi-Fi network? He's like, and the guy, it's like a young, really sweet Chinese guy.
It's a website.
Like, who created it? He's like, yeah, it's an internet app. It's gonna need to access your home Wi-Fi network, and they're like freaking out about it, and they're just like idiots. It's hilarious. Just find some clips on TikTok, because it's really funny, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's, again, I don't mean to get political, but it is kind of weird that there's not, I don't know, any kind of proof that you have to give that you're qualified to make decisions about, like technological institutions and stuff. Like, you'd think that there would be qualifications for this, If you don't even understand what social media is, I don't know that you have any business making decisions about that.
It's really funny. But yeah, no, I guess I'm defending TikTok. I don't feel like I need to. It's doing great by itself. But like, if you think that TikTok is just like stupid dances, that just shows me that you haven't checked it out, because it's actually really cool. And I follow a bunch of people, and I learn a lot of things about science, and I follow a lot of grammar and language people, and it's just like it's really fun for just like daily keeping yourself fresh, learning things. I don't know. It's really useful to me, more so than I mean, no one uses Instagram anymore, but it's much more useful than Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not against it on principle or anything. I just, like I said, I don't have a dog at it. I've hardly looked at it. Of course, Jason used to use it, and he was developing a big following there at one point, and then he got his account shut down. And we're still not 100% sure why. I assume it had to do with his age, but
yeah, it's a bummer.
It's been hard for me to. I haven't even really thought about it. But I was going to say it's been hard for me to get excited about looking at that platform after that happened. He had a video that was like 500,000 viewed, and then it was gone. And I don't know, that whole thing kind of sucked. But
yeah, that's
maybe I'll look closer at it, especially if it doesn't get banned.
I think
and then consider maybe putting some
I think
some
the
things
biggest,
over there. I'm not good at brevity. I don't know what I make over there. But I don't know. I can try it. I can put clips up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the biggest perk of TikTok is how collaborative it is. You can like it's like the you remember the video response feature of YouTube? That's like all TikTok. Like you respond to people, you react to people, and like you start conversations, and people are like actually nice and cordial and like responding to each other. Like I saw a person recently who like listed a bunch of problems with Criterion and was like, this is why they don't have more diverse films. And then I saw another guy that I followed, David, who like responded and saying, this is why this isn't there, and this is why this is there. And then they had like a nice back and forth, and it was very informative and great. Like, it's weird to see that because I'm used to YouTube comments where people just scream at each other and angry and yeah.
But to be fair, when Jason was posting there, that video that he did that blew up, a lot of the comments were really vulgar and volatile.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, like, worse than YouTube comments.
Yeah, it just depends on, I guess, what circles you run in. I mean, I'm in, like, the film talk circles, so people are just more thoughtful, I guess. And
yeah.
I'm not saying it's across the board.
It's all echo chambers and stuff, right?
Like, I'm just saying, like, you can... It's a really good algorithm, and it'll find what you're interested in. It works really well, and it shows you stuff you actually want to see, not, like, dances or whatever that cool. I don't want to see.
Well, I might consider looking into that at some point. Like I said, I don't know, minute-long things. I don't know what I would make.
It'll be a challenge for you. It'll be good exercise.
What would be really funny is if all my videos were like the beginning of a regular video, but it just cuts off.
It just cuts off. Well, you could talk about a new microphone that you got for your birthday.
Yeah, I mean, I can do occasional silly little shorts, and I started doing kind of like product things on YouTube where or like collection things where it's like, I mean, I don't want to do a full video of this. It's just a cool thing I bought. I'll show you that. But I don't know. If I did like a whole TikTok channel, I'd probably do something more interesting than that.
You know that like the vlog series you were doing, like Cap's Thoughts on Patreon? That's like the perfect kind of thing, where you're just like sharing you could migrate your comic series that you're doing now, not Spawn Year. You just have to, like you said, just be a little briefer.
It'd have to be so short. But that's a 20-minute show. No, I could do it. Yeah. The Senior Six Cap Can TikTok. See, now I want to say challenge accepted after that. That's what I want to say.
If you ever do, I could turn you on to some interesting content creators on there that talk about language, and I'm sure there's some writing ones. I'm sure there's some like, because it's for like professors, like that's like a perfect platform for like professors and teachers and stuff to give little like snippets of stuff like that. Yeah,
no, that's a good call. Well, let's go ahead and go to the break. Sorry, now I'm just like, I'm just thinking of ideas and things.
You've challenged him. Now he's all. He can't step down from a challenge.
I keep forgetting that we're making a show. Okay, let's go ahead and take a 3-minute break, everybody, and we'll be back in just a little bit. And we're back. It's time for the second half of tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. And I think we're caught up on Super Chats, so if anybody wants to help steer the show in any direction you want to, feel free to throw in questions, Super Chat or otherwise. And if you're leaving regular questions, make sure in the normal chat, make sure to tag DJ Martinez. DJ, I want to talk just real briefly about the Superhero Rewind relaunch, which I did a whole hour live stream yesterday afternoon, spitballing about the possibility of doing this. And after a lot of contemplation and discussion all day long with friends and family, and I want to thank everybody that helped me come to conclusions with this. I have about 80% figured out what I'm doing with that, and I wanted to go ahead and tell you a little bit about what I know for sure is happening with that. The things that I'm pretty sure won't change about it, just in case you're curious and you want to know what we're doing on Monday nights. First of all, next month I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off from at least some of the content. We might do like a Captain Logan show a week. I haven't decided yet. It's kind of just going to depend on how much time I've got to write. I need to sit down and write speaking of Superhero Rewind, the Superhero Rewind movie, which I'm hoping to shoot toward the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year. And I need a couple weeks to sit down and hammer out a first draft. So that's what I'm planning on doing next month. So the relaunch for Rewind won't happen until right after that. And at least more than likely, that's the plan right now, is that maybe the third week we come back, that Monday, I'll have the first commentary for that series. So what I'm planning on doing right now, as I suggested I might be doing yesterday, is I'm going to relaunch Superhero Rewind Unscripted as regular commentaries. And I haven't 100% sure decided if I'm doing this with a co-host yet. People have been asking me about that, and I put feelers out yesterday to see if people wanted that or wanted to see me do it by myself. But you may see Austin on that show. You may not. I haven't 100% decided on that yet. But he's on board. I just have to kind of pull the trigger on it. But the plan right now is I'm going to call that show the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. And I really like the word project for this, DJ. The plan is to try to do as many commentaries, new commentaries on superhero movies as possible. Just everything under the sun, and if I've done it before, it's still open. I'm planning on like focusing on the movies I haven't ever done on Rewind, and also movies that maybe I did a long time ago on Rewind but never got a commentary. But things that I've done commentaries on will still be open for people to select with requests, and I'll be opening the Rewind request tier again. So the really cool thing about this is you'll be able to pick from anything, because I'm basically starting over.
I'm gonna drop El Super Beasto in there.
Oh no, I don't want
early.
to. I don't want to do it again. No. Yeah, in some ways this is going to suck for me, because I'm going to have to go back to things that I thought I was never going to have to look at. Yeah, Super Buddies. Stuff I never thought I was going to have to deal with again. But it'll be good. It'll, like, I wanted, and I said this yesterday, but I really wanted a series that could be uniform all the way through, where I wasn't constantly changing the format of it. You didn't have to worry about if suddenly there wouldn't be a picture on the screen anymore. It was just audio only. Does it have stills? Does it not have stills? It'll be the same thing all the way through. The focus will be on story analysis for the most part, but it'll be certainly more laid back than your average Rewind was. And then the idea is, if I really get the inkling to sit down and do another full-on written one, I can do that. And I'm not promising anything. I don't want to come out and say this will be the big return of scripted Rewind with stills and everything. But if I'm not holding myself to I'm doing all of them that way, it might be kind of like Red Letter Media, where occasionally you'll see one, kind of like with the Plinkett videos. And suddenly, as we're talking about this, I'm more inclined to occasionally do one of those if I can find the time, because I don't have to worry about deadlines. I can just do it when I've got time to work on it. So That's the plan. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be also a podcast, and I'm going to put it on every podcast platform I possibly can. I'm going to number them, so it's going to be so the idea is you'll have a commentary track to watch with your movie from me for everything I can watch before I either die or am forced to quit for some reason. And I'm gonna number them, so it'll be the Superhero Rewind commentary project, track 1, track 2, etc. And we're gonna start with 89 because I think it's hilarious to do one more. I'm not saying it'll be the absolute last commentary on 89, but to do like the 12th commentary I've done on that movie. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And I suggested yesterday that one of the reasons I wanted to do this, that it would be a good excuse to do a book project that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to write a superhero movie guidebook with short reviews on a lot of superhero movies. I would probably have to release them in volumes because there's just so many superhero movies to handle. And I had a long conversation with Austin about it, and he's going to co-write it with me. And you're gonna get two perspectives in the book, and
an optimistic one and a pessimistic.
Yes, and that guy does not agree with me on every superhero movie. In fact, there's a lot of them that we're polar opposites on, and it will be a lot of fun to read, I'm sure. He's gonna write some of the plot synopses, which I'm sure will be hilarious coming from Austin. I think there's gonna be a whole other flavor to that there'll be a whole spark with that book that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and it'll let me pad the word count out. so that'll be good. And that's part of the reason that I'm considering having him there with me for the actual commentaries, and I'm leaning toward that right now. But regardless of that, he will be writing the book with me. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So anyway, full disclosure, I just wanted to give you guys the goods on that.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you're excited about it. It's really exciting. Hope it goes well.
Thomas Slow, scripted analysis is completely out of Superhero Rewind. So what I'm saying is I would like to occasionally do one, but they would be kind of big project videos for movies that I just really want to give that treatment to. And the thing that was holding me back on ever doing them was I always said I do one on everything. So if I couldn't get them out regularly, I felt weird about doing them, if that makes any sense at all. I didn't like doing 6 or 8 of those a year. But if I'm doing this series where I finally get the chance at my dream of doing a thing on every superhero movie ever made, or at least working toward that goal, then I feel better about occasionally doing a video essay kind of thing. Anyway, so sorry if that was too long, but let's move on.
No, that was a nice tease. Got two super chats here. One from What is a Super Chat? $2. He's never asked that. I don't think. Maybe he has. But this time he's asking, what is the purpose of a franchise?
Franchise! See, I just got to go to Michael Keaton from The Founder. Franchise! 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 DJ, I've been talking for too long. What would you say is the purpose of a franchise?
To make that money, you gotta get them and milk them for all they're worth.
That's
Once
right.
Once something's popular, you gotta keep kicking the horse while he's down. That's a bunch of mixed metaphors.
I think that was 9.
Yeah. You gotta make the money, man. You gotta keep it going.
It's safe. Or it's ostensibly safe.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's basically, so what is a franchise? A franchise can mean several different things. Like a series of sequels is a franchise, but also like an overall like branching franchise that has several different series going in it. Because I guess Nintendo's I guess Mario would be a franchise.
Yes.
You've got all kinds of different Mario series running.
Yeah. And then you can have like franchises of businesses, right?
Yeah.
Where
there's a whole nother...
McDonald's itself is not a franchise, but a person who buys a franchise owns several McDonald's's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lots of different ways you can define franchise.
Yeah, so
we're not a franchise.
But in both cases, it's kind of that safe bet idea, right? It's riskier to keep launching new things than it is to go with a tried and true thing and just try it in different places or in different ways or keep repackaging it. So in that sense, a restaurant franchise is a lot like a movie franchise.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this restaurant worked over here in this market. Let's try it over here, and let's just use the same thing. It's easier than coming up with a whole new concept for a restaurant.
Yeah, why own a barbecue place and a taco place when you could just have a couple of Taco Bells?
Yeah. Alex Barron, what does God need with a franchise?
What does God need with a franchise? Yeah, I mean, if he invented, the whole kit and caboodle, he doesn't need to franchise out. If anything, God should be the franchisor, not the franchisee.
Maybe he just really likes those chicken sandwiches.
That's true. Yeah. You can't blame him. It is God's prerogative if he wants several franchises. He can have the barbecue place and the Taco Bell. Why not? He's God.
Sometimes he's feeling like a sub. Sometimes he's feeling like a... In which case, he should go to Firehouse Subs, because I recently went there for like the first time with my wife, and it's really good. Way better than any other sub place I've been to. Firehouse Subs.
That's so weird. I almost went to one of those yesterday, and I've never been either. But I didn't end up doing that. So it was across the way from...
It puts like Jimmy John's and Subway just to shame. Like,
really?
It's like a real sandwich that you would get like at a restaurant. At least what I got. I got like, what did I get? I didn't get the jerk chicken. They had a Jamaican jerk chicken. I got something else. I got some other kind of chicken. It was good.
See, I'm going to have to try that next time I'm close to there, because I had a couple hours to kill yesterday when I dropped Jason off for dance, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to the place. I usually go get Hawaiian food. I'm like, I'm going to do something different. And I almost went there, and then across the way there was this chicken place that my kids always make fun of, right next to this Target that just opened like a year and a half ago, that the sign says... Gus's Fried Chicken, and then underneath it says World Famous. And now you'd think the name of the restaurant would be Gus's World Famous Fried Chicken, but it reads Gus's Fried Chicken World Famous. And my kids think that's hilarious, and they're always making fun of it. And I thought it was maybe a chain that I'd never heard of. After all, it's apparently world famous, right? So I went there expecting fast food, and... kind of risky. I don't eat a lot of fast food anymore. And I was like, I'm curious. I want to know what it's like. And I walk in, DJ, and it's a full-on restaurant. They're serving beer. They've got basketball on a TV, and
it's like a sports bar.
And well, it wasn't a bar, but it was. But they were advertising as I walked into the door like a $16 like catfish special, and I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna pay like $8 or $9 for fast food. I just walked into a restaurant. I guess I'm doing this now because I don't want to be rude. And it was the best fried chicken I've ever had. It was amazing. And
well, that's what it's signed, world famous.
Yeah, it should be. I don't think it is, but it should be.
You could just say that on any sign, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody's gonna stop you. You don't have to prove that. It's not like a patent where you have to.
In print, it's liable.
And it was absolutely the best potato salad I've ever had, and that's saying something because I'm a potato salad guy.
So it's like on the level of like a Applebee's or like a Chili's. It's like that. It's like that price range of a restaurant.
It was actually better than that. It was like they had the catfish. Catfish is expensive. Like the plate I had was like $12, and it was you got a couple of pieces of chicken, and you got bread, and you got coleslaw, and you got like another side. Like it was really reasonable, but. I gotta tell you the story real quick. The waitress I had was an older lady, and she walks up, and she was super fun, and she goes, have you ever been here before? And I was like, no. She goes, just so you know, all of our chicken is spicy. And I said, awesome. And she goes, good, you passed the first test.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. She was like, all of our chicken is cooked in peanut oil. And I was like, that's fine. I don't have a peanut allergy. And she goes, good, you can eat here.
Wow. There's really some prerequisites to enjoying this restaurant.
It was
They should
awesome.
add that to the already very long name. Gus's Chicken world famous, peanut oil allergy exclusion.
No, I had exactly the same thought when I went there too, because the place is called Gus's. He goes, "Oh, you went to the Los Palos Hermanos?" Yeah, exactly. And that's my favorite character in that show. I walk in there and I'm thinking like, this is a front for drugs. Right? It must be.
Someone's about to turn into Two-Face in the back of this restaurant. Spoiler alert.
That doesn't happen in the restaurant.
Yeah, they were all on the same wavelength because Avatar Destro put in $2, said Gus's Chicken. Is that a Breaking Bad reference?
Yeah, I don't think it is, and I didn't want to bring it up because I thought it'd be awkward if the like 68-year-old woman I was talking to didn't know anything about that show, but
working there, she probably knows about it now.
I bet. It would be weird if no one ever brought it up, right?
I love the idea that you had to basically like sign a waiver before you could eat at this restaurant.
Yeah, but I mean, you do have to ask your customers that, or you're gonna have some kind of a lawsuit if you accidentally get them with a peanut allergy, or if just the food is so spicy they run away screaming. Because I gotta tell you, it was spicy, and I like spicy food. It was hot. I want to go back tomorrow. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's really funny. It seems that
they're not endorsing this show, by the way. They're not paying for this.
Brought to you by Gus's Chicken World Famous.
God, if only they had more locations than just here in Kansas City, Missouri, I would totally see if they wanted to sponsor the channel.
You know what they need?
I would absolutely take that sponsor. They're awesome. Sorry, what?
You know what they need is a franchise.
franchise. They do.
They need to go big with this thing. They might need to cook their chicken in different oil though, if they're gonna go national.
That's true. If they were gonna, especially in this day and age.
It doesn't seem like that would be that necessary of a thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it changes the taste entirely.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, does it all have to be cooked in peanut oil? Can you say, can I have mine not cooked in peanut oil?
Maybe, yeah, just olive oil, canola oil. There's a lot of oils.
But I know why they're doing it all the same, because I got my food like a minute and a half after I ordered it.
Quick.
It's quick. Like, if they were super busy, they could run people in and out of there, and it's not a big place. Anyway, yeah. I've talked about this for 5 minutes. Nobody cares about this.
What are we doing? World famous.
Overland Park, Kansas. I think right around like 161st Street. Check it out if you're ever in this area.
And tell them Geekvolution sent you.
Just killer. I want to go back right now. How late are they open? Anyway, moving right along.
Ian Nixick, $4.99.
Roger Nixick.
For some reason, I went to a Toy Story place. I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Nesbit. Well, I got Smallville on the brain for no reason at all, really. That was like already 11, 12 days ago, and it feels like we just did that to me.
Yeah. The scarring is real.
That one was harder to recover from than the first one. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, just saying it does damage. It's lasting. Has lasting effects on the life. So you guys don't know how much Cap is sacrificing for you guys, for your entertainment.
Do you know how much I've sacrificed? A bunch of people in the comments right now are like, I really want to go there. That sounds great.
Look at that. See, you should get them. They should be a sponsor.
I should. But it wouldn't make any sense at all. My audience would have to all be here. We should have a Geekvolution convention at Gus's Fried Chicken World Famous.
You just need a local branch of Geekvolution.
Anyway,
in your Geekvolution franchise.
Did he have a question?
He did. Ian Nixick, one last time for Bat March. Pitch your own DC Black Label Batman book. That sounds like a tongue twister.
Wow. I gotta pitch a Black Label book? I gotta pitch a book that is specifically like not for kids and kind of R-rated.
Yeah, right up your alley, right?
More rough and tumble.
DC Black Label Batman book.
I don't know, if you look at my history over the last several years, I seem to only write darker stuff now. It's weird.
You've been changed.
Yeah. Wow. Put me on the spot there. You see, this is my go-to for everything, but the first thing that comes to mind is some kind of like a darker Birds of Prey story, or like a Oracle-centered thing. And I don't know what exactly that is, but it could be like, okay, tell me what you think about this. And I don't know that this would even have to be Black Label, but I'm sure you could spin it in such a way where this is a darker story. You do like origin. I don't know if this was done at all in comics. So tell me if I'm mistaken and this is actually a thing. But you do like Origin of Oracle, where it's like 6 seconds after Killing Joke, and you deal with the heartbreak of like Barbara Gordon losing her legs and what that does to the Gordons and her family, and then her like slowly developing like her computer hacking skills and her like abilities as a like behind the keyboard investigator and all of that. Like you do like an Oracle, like an origin thing for Oracle, and you somehow get in. It being Black Label, it's out of continuity, so you can do anything you wanted to with it. You make it one of the, because Black Label loves this. You make it a sequel to an in continuity thing that in and of itself is not in continuity, and you have a second encounter with the Joker and her in it, where she gets some kind of comeuppance on the Joker somehow.
She puts him in a wheelchair.
And then maybe it's like how she develops the Birds of Prey and all of that. Because for a while after that, Oracle was this kind of mysterious character, and we just saw the kind of creepy mask face that was in computers, and you didn't even know that it was Barbara Gordon. And then even for a long time after, like in Suicide Squad, after, if I understand it right, because I haven't read that stuff, but I think the idea was for a long time the audience knew, but nobody else in the superhero circles was aware of that Barbara Gordon was Oracle. But you make it kind of like the birth of a detective.
Yeah, you call it Batman Origins Oracle, and then you never make another one ever. Just do one.
Yeah, exactly.
There's rumblings of another one, like X-Men Origins Magneto, but nothing ever happened with it.
Yeah, that's great.
Or I guess you could call it Origical. Doesn't really roll off the tongue very well.
No, that's pretty rough. I can't decide if you're making fun of me right now or not. I'm trying to decide if you think
that's
that the
right
pitch
where I like you.
I'm like, does DJ think my pitch sucks?
Or is he just really bad at making names?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have you rename the Rewind relaunch, because God.
No pun names for that. That's too serious. No jokes.
By the way,
there'll be no
DJ,
jokes.
I'll put you on the spot here for just a second, but if I do end up doing, and I'm leaning towards it, like I said, if I do end up doing that show with co-hosts, you are totally welcome to come in for some movies that you'd actually want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you do...
Because I may need, especially because I may need fill-ins occasionally. Like, I don't know that Austin's always going to be able to be there if I do it with him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Once Austin, gets a life... You're like, because I know you, and I know you very well, and you want everything to be the same all the way through. That's part of the reason why you're restarting this. And if you start with him, and then he goes off to the college or gets a job or gets a girlfriend or something, and then he can't do it anymore, then you're going to be like, no, it's changing again. So
this is the reason that I am not announcing a co-host yet. That's the big thing that's holding me back, is if it's just me, the only thing stopping it is my death.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
Or if you have another set of twins, maybe.
So yeah, so what I have to do is either do it by myself or be okay with that being the one part of the format that could change, is the co-host or whether or not there's a co-host. But that wouldn't preclude keeping it commentaries at least.
Yeah. Yeah, formats changed, stays the same, but
this is why that's the one part of this I have not decided on yet.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
Right?
No,
That's why I'm talking about it publicly, because I cannot decide. Like, I have not figured this out yet, and it's kind of easier just talking about it.
Yeah. Just full disclosure, like you said in that live stream.
Yeah, I realized that once I got rid of any pretensions of being professional, this whole job got a lot easier.
Well, it's YouTube. Yeah, you don't have to be professional. That's what people like about it. Victor.
Goofster, so all we have to do is kill Cap before he does another 89 commentary then.
Wow. Is that a threat?
You don't have to watch it! Nothing is making you watch. He's like, I need that to not exist. If that shows up in my feed, I'm going postal.
He's gonna meet you at a Gus's Chicken with a bomb.
I can't decide if this is dark or just absurd.
What you're about to say?
What you just said. It's just, you're like, and then he goes to the chicken place with a bomb, and I'm like, that's really dark, but it's also ridiculous. Like,
well, it happened in Breaking Bad, man. Wouldn't like, I don't know. That'd be a cool way to go.
It would.
Two-Face, except it's real world, so he just died instead of like becoming a supervillain.
Yeah, but I mean, how real world is it? Really, because the whole way that's a heightened scene. As much as anything ever in that show, he adjusts his tie.
Yeah,
it's so good. Robotters, I say bring on all the 89 commentaries, and once again I say challenge accepted.
You still got to do the one with that member of the band.
Yeah, yep. I'm gonna bring him back.
Got to do one with me where you yell at me the whole time for not liking Batman. It's like conversion therapy.
No, I wouldn't do that. It would just be funny to watch you react to it. You know, a movie that I've seen 100,000 times, and you're like, okay, I'm finally getting around to this. It would be really funny.
I've seen it once. It would be cool if I had never seen it, but I've seen it once.
Oh, I forgot. You did tell me you've seen it once. I wish you'd never seen it. That would be a really amusing commentary.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Several years ago, I showed it to Brandon for the first time. That was fun.
I mean, I remember nothing. I'm willing to bet that all my memories of it are from this channel and not from my actual viewing of it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, 20% of what you hear me say is just quotes from that movie. If you had a dime for every time I was like, you know how a normal person, and, like, you couldn't really be on the channel and, like, deal with my references without knowing what that was. But then also, there's no prerequisite, because give it a week and you'd know where it all came from. I never stopped saying it.
Yeah. I bet you it would be fun exercise to see how much of that movie I could quote just from being just from watching this channel for so long.
Oh, now I feel bad. Connor says, low-key offended. I've never been offered a Batman 89 commentary. To be fair, 7 of the, 11 that I did was with one co-host. And then I did one with Vince all those years ago, and I did one with Eric for Batmania.
The famous, is he sleeping debate.
Yep. And I did with Vince, yeah. And then I did one with Austin where Austin wasn't actually watching the movie and was pretending like he was, but was actually watching Big Trouble in Little China. Because that was the April Fool's Day video from last year. So if he is on that show from the beginning, it will technically be the first time I've watched that movie with Austin. My life is weird.
Very strange. You got a lot of firsts that nobody else could ever claim.
Well, this would be one, too, if I did it. Thomas Lowe, I wish you'd attempt a 24-hour stream of just Batman 89.
Oh, no, that might you think that would ruin it? Have you ever watched it? How many times have you watched it in a row?
2. I've never watched it more than twice in a row.
20... Wow, so how many times? So that'd be about, a little less than 12 times in a row.
Can I say it again, though? Challenge accepted. I want to do that.
Look at the date, my friend. The 28th.
Oh, that's a really good point. I got this weird twitch happening in my right hand right now.
Don't joke about these things, guys. Have you not learned? Have you not learned?
You really shouldn't, because I'm a crazy person. Do you guys realize, here's how crazy I am, and this is why, I mean, this is one of the reasons that I said career suicide yesterday. 14 years I've been doing this. I'm going to start over from the beginning and do another show that's every superhero movie. I'm a crazy person. Don't joke like that.
You need to be one of those people that, I think you were born to be this kind of person, where have you seen those people, like the guy who owns like 50 copies of Godzilla 2000 or Godzilla 1999 1998 on VHS, or like the guy who owns like 50 copies of B movie? They just try to get as many copies of the film as they can.
Well, you know about this from the first Geekvolution After Dark I did with Eric all those years ago, right? Where we talked about maybe you haven't heard about this.
I have it probably if you mentioned it on there.
Ultimate version of that, which was the guy with a bus of speed VHS tapes.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. He collected. I mean, he had thousands. It was nothing but speed VHS. Like if you can't find a copy of that on VHS, it's because that guy has it. I couldn't stop laughing. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Do you think I should do that with 89 though?
Every 89, yeah. VHS copies are cheap. You can get them on for like $2. So every time you see one on eBay, just pop it in.
I should build a wall of them.
Just a wall of 89 VHSs.
See, I don't like the idea of collecting a lot of the same thing because no matter what it is, I feel like I'm depriving somebody of it. I know that's stupid because especially with this particular thing, because there've got to be so many of them running around and it's VHS, who cares? I don't know. I still feel kind of weird about buying that much of one thing. What if somebody else wants one?
VHS is having a little bit of a resurgence. I actually sent you a TikTok the other day about that guy who makes custom VHS tapes. He made a Willy Wonka one. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He just painted it brown to look like a Wonka bar and put like the gold ticket in the middle. It looks really cool. He does a lot of customs. He just did a Beetlejuice one, which looked amazing. I can't think of his name right now, or I would tell you so you could check him out. But yeah, custom VHS tapes guy probably comes up.
Yeah, I hope that VHS doesn't turn into one of those things that all of a sudden is worth money.
I don't know if we're in danger of that, especially because not even Blu-rays or 4Ks are worth money anymore. It's all digital.
Okay, let's move on, sir.
Victor Herman, $4.99.
Thanks, man.
Taking You Want to Get Nuts and You Know How a Normal Person out of the equation, what 89 moment pops in your head the most often? Happy Bat March.
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Like how he knows you so well.
Yeah, because I
took those out.
Like having to take those out. I mean, so many things come to my brain. It's just a thing I think about a lot. So like the one, I know this should be easy because it's like, okay, what's the one that pops in? But like, I don't know. The first thing that came to mind when you said that was I'm Batman. Not the opening scene where in costume he famously says that to the thug on the roof, but it's actually right after the normal person speech. But I feel like I can count this because it's the same scene, but it's a different moment. See, where he's the doorbell rings and Vicky has to go answer it, and it's the Joker on the other side. And while she's walking away, he's mouthing, "I'm Batman." That one certainly sticks with me.
People putting in things in the chat. Connor Nielsen, hello legs.
Oh yeah. I'm reading yours. Drinking Drano, that's definitely in there.
I always just think of Vince saying, "He must be king of the wicker people."
King of the wicker people.
Like in my head, the quote comes from Vince, not from the movie.
That's great. He must be king of the wicker people. They must like him for his big charity balls. Anyway, moving right along.
Wow. Burned in 1999.
Wow, thank you so much, man. I will waste everyone's time with it for a long time, I promise. Go ahead.
All right, good, because it's a big self-indulgent one. If you could do one thing different about each Geekvolution era,
oh my goodness,
what would you do to improve them? And he has listed them for you in case you weren't there for these.
And everybody has different names for them too. This is so self-indulgent.
His names are, and I'm very touched. He says the Vince era, Seven era, Eric era, and DJ era. I think that's all of them. I know this is a big question. I am sorry. Well, it was a big donation. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Real quick, I gotta backtrack for a second and say, one I could have said for the 89 moment that I wasn't thinking about, and you guys just sparked my memory on this, is, of course, you see what I have to work with here. That's a big one. I'm glad you're dead. Certainly is in there, too.
They'll be coming to you all night.
But yeah, so $20 to list out my greatest regrets.
Just, you can only change one thing. Well, one thing to improve each era.
To improve them, yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to regret it, but it could just be a small thing.
Yeah, sure. So Vince era, God, this is hard. Sorry, just really put me on the spot, because it's like, I'm thinking.
I'm glad I'm not answering this question.
I was gonna say, you should help me out with this. Like,
the Vince era is golden. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. It's great.
You
played Skippable. You got kicked out of a theater for talking about vampires to people.
I wish I had better. This might be a cop-out easy answer, but I wish I had better apparatus from the start.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's true.
We started out with a tiny flip Mino camera that had a not great mic on it. It was probably a mono mic.
I have one from the Vince era. I have a real one.
Oh, do you really?
Get rid of the timer. The timer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I thought you meant you had a flip Mino camera.
No, I'm just saying.
I had two, and I still have them, but neither of them work anymore.
The timer was just you prolonging the inevitable of your lack of brevity. You were fighting it off for as long as you could, but you just finally gave in and were like, yeah, we can't do the timer. We just got to talk.
See, there's a part of me that wishes we always kept the timer, but...
Who would you be now? Yeah, what would you be if you kept the timer? You might be a completely different person. You might be brief.
Brief cap.
Where would... I always bring my brief cap when I go to work.
Do you realize that going back to the tech thing for a minute, do you really, like, this is how low tech I was. By the way, the timer thing is a really good call. But I go back and forth on whether or not we should have kept it.
Yeah, that's just for me personally, though.
Because like a lot of people, once we started just taking our time and saying whatever we had to say about a thing, it actually, I don't know if it helped to build the audience, but a lot of the folks that found us liked that about us, I guess.
I just wanted you to reach your final form earlier in life.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say too, is I wish that Superhero Rewind didn't need, like, this is another thing I'd throw in, didn't need the evolution that it needed. Like, I wish from the beginning they were story analysis and more in depth, but not necessarily as lengthy as they got. Like, I think it morphed into an uncontainable beast that I couldn't begin to do in a week and sometimes even in a month. I also think those are some of my best episodes, but early on, I was doing 6.5 minute, 10-minute episodes. I wish I'd done multi-part ones from the beginning, because when I started, they were only 10 minutes. You could only do a 10-minute video, but I should have still done more like 3, 4, 5-part videos probably.
Man, where would Superhero Rewind be if they had never lifted the 15-minute mark for YouTube?
They would have never gotten as long as they did. Or
you might be done by now.
Yeah, right. Or I might have gone to a podcast format earlier, but I really don't think I would have, because I like the visual component. And honestly, it probably would have taken off more than it did, because I would have been more consistent with it, and it would have been more of what people saw on the channel. So if I had done that, I'm probably looking at a much bigger subscriber count in a larger audience right now.
Jeez, we're uncovering a whole multiverse of different evolutions in this question.
No, I think and I don't mean to toot my own horn when I say this, where it's like, my work is great, I just didn't put it out often enough. But I mean, there was a point where we were really growing at quite a pace, and that dropped off because I think mostly because I wasn't consistent with that show. If in 2014, 2015, like if Spawn Year hadn't happened, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have done Spawn Year. I'm glad I made that show, but
there's the biggest regret from that era.
But I will say, I just wish I had more time in my day, and that I hadn't burnt myself out with Spawn Year. Like, I don't regret it. I'm glad I have it, but for the overall career, there's a part of me that regrets it a little bit. You know what I mean? Just because I got burnt out on story analysis and everything because I was writing every day in a notebook with a pen. And I've told this story before. It was like 2 years before I could type again, like consistently, because I got so used to writing that way that like I couldn't think at the right rate to type. So I actually, some of you guys might not know this, I actually like hand wrote several rewinds. I had to. It was the only way to make them. So like Chronicle was handwritten.
And you still have that notebook, right? You didn't get rid of that.
It's somewhere.
Because that would be a cool coffee table book. Type all those up, or get someone else to type them all up and just have Spawnier the book.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that actually would be pretty cool. I should do that. No, I have all those.
And that's already all written. You just have to type it.
I thought you meant specifically the one I wrote Chronicle in, because that's not one notebook. That's like 6.
Oh yeah, I meant Spawnier.
Spawnier is like 6.
Yeah, you could literally hire someone, dump those notebooks on them, and say, "Hey, type all these up for me."
No, I couldn't. They couldn't read my handwriting. There's no way. Anyway, sorry, we're jumping all over the place. Going real quick, going back. I promised I would take too long on this. Going back to, because there was a point I wanted to make about the early days. Even before we got on, I can't remember what it was. Well, one thing I wanted to say about the whole tech issue is, DJ, I don't even know if you know this. The earliest episodes of Rewind were recorded audio only into that Flip Mino camera. It was the only microphone I had.
Wow.
So
I know you sound so different in those ones.
Yeah, and part of it's because the audio quality was crap, and part of it was because I was a lot younger. But what I did was I took this tiny camera that was about this size, and I wasn't filming anything. I was just recording audio, but obviously, you'd usually point it at something. So I just put it flat down on my desk. So I'm recording a black screen, and I'm recording just into the microphone that's on the bottom of the camera. And I did that for the first 20 of them, maybe. And then I got a headset mic, and that's the Batman Begins rewind. That's the first time I used that. And that's why you have a lot of like P's and T's popping and stuff, because that was not a great mic either. And then eventually I finally got the Yetis, which is what I've been using ever since then. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the different eras. There was a whole thing I wanted to tell you guys about, and I cannot remember what it was now. But yeah, so tech would be the main thing from the first era that I would change to improve things, of course. And then... And just be more consistent with, from the start, with what Rewind was. I wish I had made that more of a analysis thing in the first place. And then during the 7 era...
Which might be the shortest era, I think. I think it is the shortest era.
Yeah. I would have maybe not focused as hard on TV. I mean, like, those videos did pretty well, but that was another thing that I and some of my co-hosts got really burnt out on.
Primetime Crisis.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I mean, having everybody do their own videos on some of that stuff was cool, but then eventually we all just ended up doing a live stream and covering as much as we were all watching, and that was kind of nuts. I got burnt out on that really quick.
Yeah, that was a cool era because it was like the most a network that Geekvolution ever became, because you had complete videos that you weren't even in, stuff like that, but it was short-lived.
Yeah. And then, and honestly, and like, I don't want to get into, I don't know, like the politics of that era or whatever, but I will say that I do think, because there were some co-hosts I had that people weren't happy with and were kind of dogging in comments real hard, and sometimes people went a little too far, and I would individually, like privately call people out and ask them to leave some of my co-hosts alone. Like, if you don't like them, you don't have to watch. But I think I took too long before I publicly acknowledged it. Because I did that, like, Elephant in the Room video. I don't know if you remember that.
Elephant on the channel, yeah.
Yeah. I should have done that earlier. That kind of thing. And just, maybe went to bat for them quicker. And I know some of those guys ultimately were kind of not happy that I didn't do that. But it was a thing I didn't get at the time. Like, I thought everybody was all right, and they were just kind of letting it, wash off their backs. But apparently, some people were upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Eric era,
Eric
boy,
era.
it was like there's some things we did that was kind of a double-edged sword. Like the omnibus was great, but it was another thing that we got really burnt out on.
Yeah, batch shooting for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, like, I wish we had paced ourselves more and not shot so much together so quickly, because I think he and I both got kind of tired of some of the stuff we were doing. Like, we got some really great content out of it, but by the end, he was ready to be done, I think, and like in general. And he had life stuff that happened, and he was kind of ready to move on. And I think if he hadn't, changed jobs and gotten a girlfriend and all the things that happened with Eric, we would probably still be doing stuff together. He's just kind of moved on a different path and doesn't really want to be public and do that kind of thing anymore, which I totally respect, and it's totally cool. And he didn't leave because we had a falling out or anything, but he's very busy and doesn't live close anymore, so I don't talk to him a lot anymore. But I would have had us pace ourselves more, and I would have written more Rewind during that period.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And of course, the DJ era, as he put it, he would just not have DJ. That guy's nightmare to work with.
No, of course not. I gotta tell you, it's so much about just having more hours in the day. Like, we do so much programming that could be its own channel all by itself. That, do you know how much I think it'd be great if we could do Captain Logan Show 5 days a week? Like, I have that thought all the time. Like, I wish this could be like a radio show and we could just do it every day. And again, as you know, I don't like inconsistency. So I know it would be unreasonable, because DJ has a family and a job. It would be unreasonable to have DJ there every day. So if I did it, of course, I'd have to sacrifice some other shows, but I'd have to have another co-host, or I would have to do it without a chat moderator for part of the week. And that's one of the many reasons I haven't done it. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure, besides just impossible things, what I would do really to change this era, except maybe just like have the schedule that we have now earlier, because I like the schedule a lot. That's why I've stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Actually, yeah. I'll tell you the big thing I would have done, and a lot of you guys wouldn't have liked this, but I would have taken a sabbatical when the girls were born. That's the big thing I would have done. Because I did take a little bit of time off. I wanted to take a year, and I should have bit the bullet and done it.
Yeah.
I thought about that, because that year was grueling. I mean, it was very difficult taking care of twin babies, and I think it was harder on me, and I was more stressed out because I was thinking about the channel too much, and not liking not being able to make stuff and that kind of thing. And I shouldn't have stressed out about it. I should have just taken the time off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we sufficiently answered that great question.
Yeah, I'm sorry I took too long on that, but it was, that blindsided me. Honestly, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I was afraid of softballing too much of that, where it's like, oh, he's avoiding talking about certain things that were kind of difficult and weird during certain periods. Like, we've been at this for 14 years. We've had some odd history here and there, certainly. No way around it.
No, I think it was great. Great answer to a great question. I have one more from Robert Cherryman.
Slipmaker says more tattoos. Yes, the one thing I would change is I would have so many more tattoos.
So many more.
For those of you keeping score, I'm up to 9.
Oh yeah, you got to at least double that. 18 is the minimum.
10 is supposed to be the Ninja Turtles tattoo, and I am kicking around DJ doing this again, or not that, this again on the, I can't turn it, there we go, on the other arm, with different characters. So this is my wife's name in Kryptonian, and I've thought about doing another one if I don't do a full-on sleeve on this arm. I've thought about doing another one that would be the first initials of all 5 of my kids' names, because it'd be 5 letters on each side.
Oh.
That's another thought I've had.
JFM S and K. Is it a K or a C? Is it a C?
C for Cassandra, yeah.
All right, shall we go to Robert Cherryman? Cherryman?
Cherry Man. Sure, go ahead.
Is that a new name? Do we need a dance?
Oh, you know what? I think it might be, actually. Good call. I'm so glad you said that. Mostly because I don't want to go through a show without doing it.
I wanna take
Yeah.
you for a ride.
We gotta celebrate his super chat.
I wanna take you for a ride.
Oh, Charlie's Angel.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you
Oh, I gotta brush up on some dance.
I wanna take you for
I gotta learn some.
Yeah, I haven't danced in like 25 years. I gotta work on it.
Mutali says younger Cap would be horrified if he saw his older self with tattoos. That might be true.
That might be a new contemplative cat video. All the things that you would be horrified about if you met your future self.
I should do a video where I show up from the past and I just walk around freaking out. I'm just like, the hell did I do to myself?
Robert Cherryman, ever read Batman White Knight?
Yes, and I've reviewed it on the old Batmosphere show that I was doing with Dan's News. That was one of the last shows we did, I think. And we both really liked it. It's wonderful. I have not read the sequels yet. Because that got really popular and they have milked that for all it's worth too. But they might all be great. I don't know. Franchise. I know there's just a regular sequel to that. I forget what it's called. And then I think there's a spin-off of some kind. Maybe there's been even more since that. I'm not sure. Because I think White Knight's been around like 5 years now.
White Knight. Gotham's White Knight. All right. Should we go to what do we got? We got some time. Should I go back to some?
Let's do like one pre-written question, maybe, if we don't have any more super chats, because we are almost at 2 hours, and I feel like we got nothing accomplished this evening.
we accomplished fun.
I had fun. I hope you guys did too. And when I say that, I don't mean that the questions weren't great. I just mean we didn't tackle a ton of things tonight. We got through all the super chats, but I spent like 15 minutes on each of them.
All right, here I got one from Jareth Gearhart that I meant to get to last week and we didn't get to it. He asked this at the beginning of the last show, and now this one again. He brought it back up. He says, "Hey, Captain DJ, do you only watch movies that are set at a certain time of year? At the time, I couldn't bring myself to watch the new Children of the Corn in 80-degree weather."
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, do you have that with stuff, DJ? Because I find that sometimes releases are weird where I'm like, that's clearly a Halloween movie. Why did that not come out in October? But I don't know if it stops me from seeing it.
Most of the things I have this with are holiday related.
Sure.
So I'm not going to watch a Christmas movie outside of December. I'm not going to watch I may watch like a Halloween-y kind of movie outside of it, but mostly I usually save those for October. I don't know, but he's talking about new movies. I don't know if I've ever not gone to a new movie because it was. But I definitely have this. I watch a lot of Christmas movies in December. I have my holiday movies that I go to at certain times. So I definitely have that. But I'm trying to think of a one where it was a new movie that came out and I was like, I'm not going to watch that until later in the year.
Yeah, because it was weird that it was released out of season. I've never had that with a movie theater experience, but I'm certainly with you on holiday films. But I don't really have it with like just particular times of year where it's like if it takes place in the summer, I can't watch it in the fall. I don't have that.
Yeah, I have it the other way more where I do watch it at certain times of the year. Not that I specifically am against watching it at other times of the year. But I totally get that. I don't know much about Children of the Corn. I mean, does it take place in the fall or something, like in the winter?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I've never seen it. Do you see anything else that's just awesome that we got to tackle?
Let me scroll back up to this show. This one is about news, which we haven't really talked about at all today. Mutale, what do you think will be the best DC film of 2025? The Batman Part 2 or Superman Legacy?
I mean, we just don't know enough about that project yet, right? Like, we know it's
Yeah.
Gunn writing and directing, and it sounds potentially exciting, but like I don't have a lot of, of course, details yet. I also hope that the quality of both of those, of course, is just way up to snuff, and they're incomparable things. I do have to say this: it's very exciting to have a Batman and a Superman movie the same year, and that might both be great. That have the potential to both be great. That's wonderful. But like, which one will be better? Couldn't begin to tell you, because I mean, I really like the Batman, of course, and it's the same team, and Matt Reeves is directing again. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Gunn can't make a Superman movie that is equal to that in storytelling quality and in movie making quality and in making me invested in the material. And I have liked Gunn's movies before, so that's certainly possible.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we have more to go on for Batman 2 because we have a whole movie. So I have more faith in that just based on evidence. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know anything about the Superman Legacy, right? Except he's writing it.
Yeah. That's pretty much all we know so far. And that it's supposed to be like a younger Superman than Cavill, but not like it's not a straight up origin thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking it's going to take place over, maybe a few years, but I don't actually know if that's true.
AMC Comics, did you guys hear that Liv Tyler is returning as Betty Ross in Captain America: New World Order?
No, I hadn't, but that really means that guy has to take that the Incredible Hulk off his list.
Well, we already had a character come back. Ross did come back.
Well, that too, but
it still didn't deter him from putting it there.
That's true. That's a good point.
So
it's pretty easy to watch that movie. It's like, oh, this is a general guy. Like, Hulk's girlfriend shows up, and you've never seen him. That'd be weird.
I don't know what she's going to do in a Captain America movie. She could just be a scientist.
That's true.
Scientist number 2.
No, I had not heard that.
That's cool. I don't know why she's going to be there.
I guess we'll find out. Well, I assume it's because Ross is in that. Because isn't that the movie that they hired Harrison Ford for?
I don't know.
So it'd be the two of them in that movie. I'm pretty sure that's where they're putting him. Which means, and that's filming right now, which means he's already shooting that movie.
Yeah. Bob the Hun says Superman is going to be in his 20s, he's pretty sure. Not even 30.
Okay. I had heard like 30, 31, but maybe it is younger than that. I don't know. I don't need to know everything about this movie before it comes out. All right, well, let's go ahead and get going, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We'll be back again on Thursday for another one at 7 Central. A little more like 7:15, because I'm pulling into the driveway at 7 on a Thursday night. But we'll do another show for you. We'll see if any cool news pops up, and if not, we might respond to another list blog, DJ, because Austin sent me one this afternoon where he was like, oh, you guys should tackle this on the show tonight too. That was like the 20 most anticipated superhero movies through like 2025 or whatever. So we could take a look at that. I told him, I was like, it's going to take me like 45 minutes to an hour to get through that first lead-in topic, right? And he was like, oh, okay. I mean, I just thought maybe you could do both. And I was like, do you know me? Like,
no, don't let him play coy with you. He's just trying to sabotage. He's still trying to tank the channel. That's his whole MO.
It has been a crazy long con, because I might be putting him in the main thing that has Rewind of the title on the channel.
Canadians are patient. I mean, he'll wait for it, but he'll strike eventually. Don't worry.
That's a good point. I wonder if he's going to find any like Canadian exclusive superhero movies I don't know about. Hey, it's English. It's English language, so it counts for having to be done in Rewind.
But hey, who knows? A lot of those movies are in French up there in Canada.
Oh, that's a good point too. So I don't have to do those. Thanks again for being here, guys. I hope you had a good time. I will be back again tomorrow night for a request at 10 Central, and then Thursday night, Captain Logan show, and Friday night, Austin and I are probably reviewing a Batman comic, which will be the last big thing for Bat March, and we're talking about doing Dark Detective which I think is the end of Englehart. So anyway, look forward to that and more on the channel. I was Captain Logan, and this was DJ Martinez.
And I just took a drink of water, so I can't say anything.
Well, like I said, professionalism is not a prerequisite, so
No.
it's fine.
As long as you're not allergic to peanut oil and you like spicy foods, you're good to go for this show.
Later, folks.